Something strange happened in 2006 in Barrow, Alaska. On November 18th, the sun set. On November 18th of 2006, the sun set. And the sun did not rise again until January 24th. In Barrow, Alaska, right on the tip of the Arctic Circle, a very small little hovel of a town. The sun set on November 18th and did not rise again until January the 24th. Totaling 65 days that this city had to live in darkness. Contrary to what my former Vice President Al Gore wrote in his documentary, An Inconvenient Truth, this had nothing to do with global warming. It had nothing to do with toxic fumes, and it had nothing to do with machinery contaminating the atmosphere. To this day, they still cannot surmise how it is that the sun set and did not rise for 65 days. Somewhere between that date and yesterday, anthropologists as well as psychotherapists have been flying in record numbers into Barrow, Alaska, trying to gauge what is the fallout reaction from going that amount of time, hear me, without the sun. Without the sun for just 65 days, Barrow, Alaska leads the globe per capita in suicide. They lead the globe in clinical depression. They lead the globe in homicide. They lead the globe in rape. They lead the globe in alcohol and drug addiction because they did not know how to function in the absence of the sun. There is something to be said. I believe that they might have been able to adjust had they always lived in darkness. But because they were exposed to what it means to be in the light, it took their mind into a regressive state where their mind began to shut down. There are two entities that keep the mind healthy. What meets the mind's mandate to maintain its equilibrium and its healthy stratum is that the mind needs nutrients and it needs light. There are daily mandatory requirements for light and nutrients for the mind to operate in peak performance. Our lives, my brothers and sisters, are in a constant struggle between trying to get the nutrients from the inside and the light from the outside. The problem is that so many of us try to get our energy, our sustentation from outside because we have no foundation on the inside. And so all of who we are is predicated on how other people define us. So we need other people to tell us that we're valuable, that we are attractive, that we are intelligent, that we are gifted, that we have something to offer. But that is only half of it. The main source is that you've got to find something on the inside so that if nobody else recognizes the value that I have to bring to the table, that I understand that I'm something without you. So if you never applaud me, if you never affirm me, if you never recognize my God-given gifts, grace, and talent, I understand I got it going on even if you leave me, because I was something without you. So I didn't need you to make me whole. I was whole when you showed up. All you can do is just compliment and accentuate who I already am. That's why I'm not desperate for friends. You don't have to call me. I don't have to go eat with you. You don't have to sit with me in church. I've learned to enjoy my own company. If nobody else will celebrate with me, then I've learned to give God the glory all by myself. See, some of you have never gone through some lonely seasons, but I might as well tell you that isolation always before elevation. God wants to see how you can maintain when you're by yourself, when you don't have any cheerleaders, when you got nobody encouraging you. But like David, you learn to encourage yourself. This is the season of your life. You don't need no prayer partners. You don't need no praise partners. But you learn how to celebrate God while you are alone in your house. And you said, when I think of the goodness of Jesus and all that he's done for me, I get joy when I think about what God has done for me. Light is important. Light is important, as is nutrients. Light is important because light is the charge of energy from the outside that our brain needs to refuel the energy on the inside. So the nutrients are good, but if you don't have light coming in, then the nutrients will not move. It's all right for you to have a degree. It's all right for you to have some money. It's all right for you to have a pretty face. It's all right for you to have a shapely shape. But if you don't have the light of God, then my dear friend, you are living in darkness. Some of the most beautiful people have the most ugly spirit because they don't know how to treat other people. But if you can just learn to be nice to other people, God will make you beautiful on the inside. Look at your neighbor and say, you don't have to tell me. I know I look good. Even if you don't tell me, I feel good because I'm wonderfully and fearfully made. What's this now? Light, my dear friends, light expands the mind. Light expands the mind. It gives us the cognitive ability for learning, creativity, insight, and redirection. It is a light that helps us interpret the psychological scripts that are hard for us to define and to understand. It is the light that gives you an illumination of a dark situation. It is what scriptural and spiritual people will call the gift of discernment. When it is that you have the light of God, you can tell when people are lying to you. When you got the light of God, you can gauge who is serious and who is pretending. When you got the light of God, you can gauge who's worshiping God because they want to be seen and who's worshiping God because they want to see who God is. I better park right here. Is there anybody where the lights just came on for you and you began to give God the glory? Because you know if God wasn't fighting for you, you would have lost your mind a long time ago. Give God the praise if he turned the lights on. Darkness, hear this. Darkness wants to stop you from learning. Darkness wants to stop you from creating. Darkness wants to stop you from analyzing. And darkness wants to stop you from processing. Light is necessary for you to learn, for you to create, for you to analyze, and for you to process. It is then no accident when we go back to Genesis chapter 1 that the very first miracle that God ever created, he said, let there be light. Now, I don't want you to leave that. I don't want you to leave that on a surface value, because when God was saying, let there be light, he was not talking about the sun, because he does that on a different day when he separates the day from the night. When he says, let there be light, he was speaking to the entities that did not exist yet. He was speaking to us who we already were on his mind. When he said, let there be light, what he was saying is, let there be in you something that is creative. Let there be in you something that is constructive. And let there be something in you, something that is critical. The reason why the enemy cannot stand you is because you do not fit in the mold of how other people ought to be. They get upset when you don't go along to get along, but you can't help it. It's just something creative about you. God gives you ideas and dreams and gives you visions and gives you flashes of your future, and the other folk around movies in Cape Town, but I go to the movies all the time back in the States. I don't know how it rolls in Cape Town, but in the States, when you go to the movies, you need to go early. You got to go early because in the States, folk will talk in the movie. So you got to go early so that you can pick your seat. You got to pick your seat and you can sit beside somebody, hear this, that you can identify when it gets dark. So if something shows up, you know who you can hold on to, because you don't want to hold on to a stranger. Can I say to you, whoever you're sitting beside tonight, God put him beside you so you know you got somebody who will stand with you when you go through a frightening season of your life. So some of you got poor time management. You got poor time management, and as a consequence, you never get to the movies early. You don't get there early, and so because you usually don't, let me help you understand what happens. If you get to the movies early, look out for some clues, some insights. Look out, if you get there early, for the lights to go off. When the lights go off, that's an indication something's getting ready to happen. You don't know what it is, but something is getting ready to happen. Whenever God turns the lights off on a situation where you can't